Hello, welcome to the School of Wisdom. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever it is, where you are in any part of the world. My name is Peter Olayola. Now, the School of Wisdom is designed essentially to see how we can turn the simplicity of the Word of God into the practicalities of everyday life. In other words, how do you move beyond religious ideas? How do you move beyond theories and stories to practical stuffs? How do you move beyond religious dogmas and see how the teachings of the Bible, the core principles of the Word of God, can be applied in everyday life for victorious and successful living? My name is Peter Olayola, so welcome. This is May 2022. Let's just say a short word of prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this session. We receive your help for all that we'll be doing in Jesus' name. Amen. So what are we talking about this evening and this month? We want to continue and conclude our discussion on true success in life. So this is True Success in Life Part 4. True Success in Life Part 4. Remember where we started from about 3 months ago, February 2022. We said true success in life is beyond possessions, is beyond accumulations, is even beyond achievement, is beyond having certain results that maybe someone else in your age group or someone that maybe is your classmates or your neighbor or your friends or your colleagues, what they have as result. That true success is always in relation to individuals' purposes and their potential. That before you can actually know whether a person is successful in life or not, you need to know the measure, the deposit of what they have been given. Luke 12:48 says, to whom much is given, much is expected. And we say from there, that means some have been given much, some have been given much more, some have been given less. But regardless of how much you have been given, what you need to do is know how to make the most of what you have been given. That when you make the most of what you have been given in God's calendar, in God's design, you are successful. And we look at several examples. We say, for example, if you would say maybe Paul in the Bible was super successful because he wrote many books, would you say people like Peter that wrote less, or other apostles that didn't even write anything, would you say they were less successful? No. God does not judge the way we judge. And the same way, if you wanted to say, well, maybe Peter and the rest, they were successful because they were married, would you say Paul was not successful because he didn't raise a family, have his own family? So in other words, we say success is relative to purposes and potential, is relative to God's callings, what God has called each one of us to do, and that calling is largely a function of what he has deposited inside of each and every one of us. So we say the first thing therefore is about discovering our gifts, our talents, the deposit of God inside of us as individuals. That when we know what has been deposited inside of us, then we need to go ahead to talk about developing them. We talked about developing the person, the character of the person, the quality of the person that has the gift, and then we talk about developing the gift itself. And last month we started talking about deploying this deposit, deploying this gift, this talent that we've got. That since we have this gift, we have this talent, the next thing we need to do is how to make the most of them. And we said the single most important factor in God's design to maximize our potential and fulfill God's purpose for our lives and have true success in life is simply faithfulness. And we say faithfulness can be divided into 4 parts. So last month we talked about the first 2. We said faithfulness refers to or relates to or is connected to our walk with God. That regardless of how gifted we are, regardless of how talented we are, we should always acknowledge God. We should not abandon God. We should not get to a level or a stage where we say, you know what, God can stay on one side, I want to make my money. Right? No. God, because God is the fountain of life. Last month we said even people that you think are without God, they are not without God. They cannot do without God, because in the first instance, the gift, the talent, the ability they are trading with, the breath in their nostrils, all of these things originated from God. So I watched a successful American actor recently, and he was saying for him the starting point of success is actually acknowledging that you have been given this gift by the Creator, acknowledging that this gift is not your own, being appreciative of the grace of God, the gift of God that you have. If people are commenting certain traits, certain qualities in you, it's because you have received them from God. So that faithfulness begins with actually connecting to God and sticking to God throughout our journey on the earth. And closely related to that, or in addition to that, we say faithfulness is about service, being useful, deploying our gifts, deploying our talent for the benefit of mankind, the benefit of humanity. And I want us to start from there this evening. Now, there is something I want us to see in the book of Mark. Mark in the Bible, Mark chapter number 1, verse number 5. The book of Mark, Gospel of Mark, chapter number 1, verse 5. It says, all the people went out to meet John. All the people went out to meet John. Why? Because John had something to offer. So they patronized John. They demanded his services. People from far and near, they sought John. They wanted his audience. They wanted to actually hear what he had to say, because John had something to offer. They didn't say, oh, maybe where he was living was too far from them. They didn't say maybe he was not from their ethnic group. They didn't give any form of excuse that you want to think about. What does that tell us? If we have what to offer and offer it with excellence, offer it with the best of our ability, people will patronize us. That's regardless of what we are doing, regardless of what we are called to do. Those that have what to offer and offer it with the best of their ability, offer it with excellence, do not lack patronage. And this is actually how Proverbs 18:16 that says, a man's gift makes room for him. This is how this scripture is fulfilled. Now, many years ago, I read about a woman. She was to resign from her organization because her family was relocating to another state, to another city. Now, because she was so valuable to her organization, they had to come up with a special arrangement for her. And this was long before the pandemic, long before people started talking about working from home and all of these things. They had to make special provision for her just because the company could not afford to lose her. Right? They didn't just say, in fact, she continued with the arrangement until eventually the company opened another branch in the city where she was relocating to. Now, to a very large extent, it doesn't mean, for example, maybe if you are resigning from a job, if you are leaving a place, and if they don't do such, you say, oh, maybe you are not valuable. No, that's not what we are saying. But we are saying that a person can be so valuable that people will go the extra mile to actually seek them, to engage their services, to pay for their services, if you like. So all the people went out to meet John. As simple as that, because John had something to offer. So people that have what to offer, that are serving, they don't lobby. They don't look for shortcuts. They don't depend on connections, quote and unquote, that, oh, I need somebody that will link me to somebody that will link me to another person. No. So I say, are you looking for people, or are people looking for you? Are you looking for people? Are you always looking for people to help you? Or are you always looking to help others? Because if you are always looking for people to help, people to support, it can be an indication that you have nothing to offer, or at least you are not offering it. If we are always looking for people to help us, we are always looking for people that will support us, not the people that we can give to, people that we can offer what we can do to. It might be that we actually have nothing to offer, or we are not offering what we are supposed to be offering. In other words, people that have what to offer do not struggle for patronage. People that have what to offer do not struggle for followership, right? So I say, if you look at social media, for example, and what people post online, all sorts of things that people do, essentially you can trace it to purposelessness, identity crisis, inferiority complex most times, people just wanting to be known, people wanting followership, right? Not necessarily because they have what to offer, but because they think they just need people to be following them. But people don't follow anybody for nothing. You have to be offering something before people can follow you. That if we are offering something and we are doing it well, there is no way we will not have followership. There is no way we will not have impact. There is even no way, to a very large extent, that we will not have income. So the people that make real money, for example, online from different social media platforms, are people that have what to offer, not just people that are there to just display their foolishness and all sorts of things that people do. So are we looking for opportunities to serve with our gifts, or is it just to be known? So are you as a person looking for opportunities to deploy your gift, to serve with your gift? Or is it just about being known? No, because as most of the time people miss out of opportunities in life because they cannot recognize opportunities to serve. People miss out on their breakthroughs rather because they cannot recognize or maximize opportunities to serve. In other words, opportunities to serve essentially present us with breakthroughs. Inherent in opportunities to serve are breakthroughs that we desire most of the time. So I was discussing with someone and I was telling them that, do you know some people, for example, maybe are in Africa, that will be complaining, oh, there are no jobs, there are limited opportunities and all of those things. Yes, there are limited opportunities in some places compared to other places. But do you also know, I also told the person that I also know some people in the diaspora, for example, that have business ideas, that investment ideas that they are willing to actually explore in these African countries, but they lack people that are trustworthy. People they don't know people that they can trust, how they can channel their resources to actually go about such investment. So what you have is a kind of mismatch where some people have resources to invest. They are looking for people that can be trusted. Yet some people are complaining that, oh, there are limited opportunities. Yet they don't bother to ask how. Maybe lack of certain qualities. That's why we talk about things like integrity, character, and all of those things limits their chances in life. I know of someone that, for example, I heard about someone that he had a friend. So the friend was in the diaspora. The friend wanted to build a house, and the friend was basically complaining to them that they had nobody to trust because of all sorts of negative experiences they've had. And the person took it upon themselves to actually help their friend to build their house. So when they've completed the building and they did it very well, when the friend saw it, they were actually impressed. And from there, the friend was able to recommend them to other people that wanted to actually build their own homes as well. Other people that have investment opportunities. This was how the person was actually able to build their own investment portfolio, just by being a trustworthy person, just by being available to serve. It wasn't that the person studied anything about construction or about engineering and what have you. No, they were just available to serve. And because they were available to serve, they had the breakthroughs that they were looking for. So it wasn't that they were just praying, oh God bless me, or fasting and all of those things. Yes, they are important, but they cannot substitute service, being available to serve. So all the people went out to meet John because John had something to offer. So if we focus on service, we will not lack patronage. We will not lack impact. That is the truth. So that is the second thing we want to talk about in relation to faithfulness. Number one, we say our walk with God. Faithfulness covers our walk with God. Number two, faithfulness is about service, is about being useful, deploying what we have been given to advance the cause of humanity, to glorify the name of God. Now, the third point we want to talk about in relation to faithfulness is focus. Focus is closely connected to discipline. Focus is closely connected to discipline. Now, for many people, the problem they have is not even about adversity. It's not even so much about the negative factors or negative forces that are against them, but their own indiscipline. And focus is related to how we use our time, how we use our money, whether we are accountable for the 24 hours we get in a day or not. Right? Now, this is significant because the more gifted we are, naturally speaking, the more we have this tendency that the gift, the talents will take care of itself. So there is always this tendency to be loose, to be indisciplined. with gift, with talent. Now, but it is important to know that one of the greatest enemies of fulfillment in life is indiscipline. One of the greatest enemies of fulfillment, regardless of what a person is doing, is indiscipline. Now, if a person is too loose, anything goes with them. They don't have systems that a kind of checks and balances in place in their life. There is no way they will make the most of their life. So I say, if you are too loose, Loose, if you are too loose, Loose, you will lose out in life. If you are too loose, you will lose out in life. If anything goes with you, you won't get anywhere in life. If you are always available for everything, you won't be able to maximize your potential in life. If you are too loose, you will lose out in life. If anything goes with you, you won't get anywhere in life. If you are always available for everything, you won't be able to maximize your potential. So a person cannot but lose out when they are too loose, when they just let anything go, when they don't put certain guards, certain control in their life. So now, one of the reasons why maybe people criticize talent, why people criticize gift, you probably have heard some people will say things like talent is overrated, gift is overrated. Now, the reason why they say that most time is because of their experience of gross indiscipline that often plague many highly talented people. Gross indiscipline that often plague many highly talented people. Lack of focus. They just lose focus easily. Right? Even in the Bible, think about someone like Samson. Now, you probably, or you can talk about Solomon much later in his life as well. So you probably know maybe some people that don't have trouble grasping things, maybe in school, or people that maybe you are brainstorming and then they just come with a brilliant idea. You're like, wow, how did you get this thing? Now, many times these individuals, they tend to just live their life carelessly, maybe in terms of how they handle money, how they spend their time, until they just go into ignominy, until people tend to forget about them. What we are saying is that there is a general sense, a kind of illusion that comes with gifts, that comes with talents. It just sort of make people think like, oh, the more gifted they are, the more the gift can always build them out, the more the talent can always build them out. But no, that is not true. A person cannot live anyhow and end well in life. A person cannot live anyhow and become all they are meant to be in life. So I say, in simple terms, how do you differentiate between a person of purpose and somebody that is just wandering around, somebody that is just whiling away the time? In how they spend their time, in the priorities that they have, right? So that if you actually know what you're supposed to be doing in life, your approach will show it. So if we are always careless with our days, if we are always careless about how we spend our 24 hours and all of those things, to a large extent, it's an indication that we probably don't know where we are going or what we are supposed to be doing in life. So think about it. For example, if two people are going at the airport, or two people are at the airport or train station or bus stop, whatever example you want to think about. Now, one is going somewhere, the other person is maybe escorting or just accompanying them. Now, you will often know the difference in terms of maybe one person is always checking their watch, they are looking out for announcement, they are trying to see what information is being passed across, they are checking the board and all of those things. The other person probably may just be playing with their phones. The other person may just be on the call and all that. Why? Because one person is trying to catch a train or a bus, a flight or whatever, and the other person is just there. Nothing is actually moving them. So they can afford to let the time just go. And this affects our lives as individuals. So for example, people can spend maybe 4 hours, 5 hours online. We can be doing different things. Someone can be doing something that will be productive, that will be contributing positively to their path, to their purpose in life. Another person can just be there and just be whiling away time and be even telling themselves that what are they living for. So this is why focus is so important. And when we are talking about focus, it's not so much about the choosing between the good over the bad, or the right and the wrong. No, some things are not even clear-cut bad in the ordinary sense of the word. So in the Bible, for example, Paul says some things are lawful and some things are not helpful. In other words, he was saying the main challenge that we need to think about is the difference between right and good. Not just between right and wrong or good and bad. The challenge that most of us need to continually overcome is distinguishing between what is good and what is right for us as individuals. In other words, some things are not wrong, but they are not right either. They are not bad in themselves, if you like to put it. They are not bad. They are not outrightly bad, but they are not helpful because they do not contribute positively to our life. So you cannot have time for everything, for example, and fulfill God's purpose for your life. So, at the beginning of this session, we said if every opportunity catches your attention, it's an indication that you don't know where you're going. Now, an extension of that is if you honor every invitation, everything that people invite you to, you are available to do it. Birthday of friends, funerals, naming ceremony, get together that you don't even know the people that are even organizing. They just say tag along. You say, what am I even living for? Let's just go. If you are always available for every invitation, if anybody can get you at any time for anything, it is actually an indication that you are struggling with focus. You need to think about your life. Think about it this way. Why is it difficult for many people, ordinarily speaking, to see their leaders, maybe presidents, prime ministers, governors, or whoever? Why is it difficult for many people to see their leaders on a daily basis? Except, of course, you are working directly under them. Because these people often have too many things calling for their attention, too many people, too many events to attend to, too many meetings and all that. So what happened is that because there are so many things calling for their attention, they have to manage their time in order to be able to do important things, to still be able to do important things. So what happened is they engage aides, they engage assistants, senior special assistant, all sorts of things like that to undo these different things calling for their attention so that they can focus on important things in their life. So what that means for us is this: if you don't manage your time and your priorities well, you will not have time for the important things that you're supposed to be doing in life. People that do not manage their time and their priorities well will always struggle to actually do the things that are important. They will not have time for the important things in their life. So when people say maybe they don't have time for some things, one way or the other, they are simply saying it is not their priorities. As simple as that. They are saying this thing is not my priority. And in economics, for example, we talk about scale of preference. That is ranking our needs. Let's say, for example, somebody has some needs, let's say of about $12 to $15, and then they only have $5. You be able to categorize what is important, what should come first, what can I not do without, what should I get first. That is how our lives should be. We should be able to categorize our lives into very important things, highly important things. Some things are just important, some things are even not important at all. And these can be generic in the sense that, generally speaking, these are things that a person should be doing. But this can also be specific. They can be relative to our purposes and our potential, to what we are called to do. So, for example, I would say what I'm doing, talking, inspiring people and all that, writing, involves spending a lot of time on my own thinking, spending a lot of time reading, spending a lot of time meditating. Now, somebody maybe that is into hospitality, tourism, may need to spend a lot of time traveling, reading about different places, geography and current policies and different things like that. That's not just traveling for the fun of it. That is actually traveling to build themselves up in relation to what they are called to do. Someone maybe into catering services may spend a lot of time trying out different delicacies or reading about intercontinental dishes, hotels, and all of these things. That should take priority. They should spend significant amount of their time doing these things. So if a significant part of your day is not spent in relation to what you are called to do, you may actually be wasting your potential without knowing. If a significant part of the 24 hours you get every day is not being devoted to the development, the deployment, the advancement of the area that you're supposed to be, a person may actually be wasting their potential without knowing. Why is that significant? Because if you are able to prioritize and manage your day very well, you can say, oh, today has been a successful day, right? So if you do that, you can have many successful days, and then you can have a successful week, and then you can have many successful weeks, and you can have a successful year, and you can have many successful years, and then a successful life is simply a collection of many successful years. Right? So the more we are able to maximize our present moment, the more we can actually sow seeds of success into our future. And that is largely a matter of prioritization, defining our priorities, knowing this comes first, being able to rank the things that are taking our time. And again, this is why the use of internet, social media, and all of these things come in. Of course, it has been said again and again, these things are supposed to bless our lives. These things are supposed to advance our lives. These things are supposed to make our lives better in the general sense of the word. Internet, YouTube, social media, all of them, mention them like that. Now, but what you have is that to a very large extent, many people let these things control them. And this is not just about being young or being a child. No, there are actually even immature adults, people that essentially are immature by virtue of how they let these devices control them. So, and what happens is people tend to spend so much time doing nothing really, and it affects the quality of time they should be devoting to the development of their gift. They should be devoting to the area of their life where they have been called to make a difference. So we generally have less time to think nowadays because we spend so much time online. We are always online. We want to check what is happening in other people's lives. We want to check what is happening around us, and that's not wrong in itself, except that we are losing touch with ourselves. We are losing touch with what we are supposed to be doing. We are not on track with God, with His purposes for our life, because we are always online. We are always trying to find out what is happening, what has this person done. Except we are doing all of these things without caring about what is actually happening in our own lives as individuals. We are not assessing ourselves, whether we are making progress or not, whether we are fulfilled or not, whether we are frustrated or not. As long as we can wake up to watch those that are making money, as long as we can wake up to tweet, to check status, to do this other thing. Even if we are jobless, even if we are constantly frustrated, even if we are not adding value to ourselves, we somehow think it is okay, that things will just sort out itself. No, we somehow think that maybe someday things will change. Someday one miracle will happen. No, it doesn't happen like that. Do not forget, a successful life is simply a collection of many successful days. So I say, if a person's approach is not different, even after they claim they have discovered God's purpose for their life, that discovery is not genuine. If a person's approach to life does not change, even after they claim they know what they are supposed to be doing in life, either that discovery is not genuine, or what they discover in simple time is not purpose. So we said the first step to this question about focus and discipline is prioritization. What are the priorities of your purpose? What are the priorities of your gift? Okay, fellowshipping with God is paramount, is primary, but aside that, the next thing that should take the significant portion of our time is the assignment God has deployed us to accomplish, the area that we are supposed to be making a difference in the world, whatever that area may be. What are the priorities of this area? Even somebody that is a full-time housewife, a full-time mom, that's not a problem in itself. What are the priorities? Homemaking, all of these things, taking care of children, bringing the children up in the way of the Lord, bringing the children up in the way that they will become the envy of the society, and all of those things. the priorities, being able to define the priorities of our assignment. The assignment in itself is not the point, but being committed, genuinely committed to it, and that commitment begins with defining what the priorities are as far as that is concerned. So a significant part of faithfulness is maintaining focus. And remember, we said focus is not just about choosing bad and good over bad, but actually being able to distinguish between right and good. Some things are good, some things are not bad in themselves, but they are not right just because of what a person is doing or where they are going in life. So that is the third point, or the third subdivision of faithfulness that we want to talk about, and how significant it is to a life of fulfillment or to true success in life. Now, very quickly, we go to number 4 and we wrap up on number 4. So the fourth division or subdivision, if you like, that of faithfulness that I want to talk about is persistence. Persistence, or if you like, you can say dogged determination. Persistence and dogged determination. Hebrews chapter number 12 verse 2 says, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. Now, I've shared this story before, that when I finished high school or secondary school, depending on what is called where you are in any part of the world, so I was to go into university, higher institution, and essentially I stayed at home for 5 years. I was passing the entrance exam one way or the other. I would just not gain admission. Now, but I persevered, and in the 5th year, I actually entered the university. Now, at the same time, or roughly around the same time, I know of someone that failed just 3 times. Just 3 times. The first time he failed, the second time he failed, the third time he failed. He just concluded that it wasn't God's will for him to go to the university or go to higher institution, and he just quit, and he went to do something else. So what are we saying? I wasn't even failing, I was passing. It was just that some other things were happening. But he failed the first time, second time, the third time, and just said, you know what, I'm not doing it again. Now, but by the grace of God, I didn't quit even though I was passing. And it took me until the 5th year before I actually went to university and all of that. Now, what I'm saying in essence is that many of us have lost out on what belongs to us because we give up too soon. Many people have lost out on what belongs to them because they give up too soon. Many of us are too quick to quit. We need to develop thick skin, which is another word for this dogged determination that we are talking about, to make a success of any venture whatsoever in life. We need a thick skin to be able to make a success of any venture. But many of us are too soft. We quit easily. If we try something and it doesn't work out, if it doesn't work out the first time, the second time, after a few times, we manage to convince ourselves that it's not God's will for us. We just conclude, oh no, this cannot be God's way. Now, of course, there are some instances where people can fail because they are doing the wrong things. They are on the wrong path. They are out of sync with God's purpose for their lives. They are not in the path of purpose. Yes, that one is true. But there are also many more people that fail not persevering with the right thing. So there are people that fail for doing the wrong things, but there are also many more that fail not because they are doing the wrong things, but because they do not persevere with the right thing. So even in the Bible, Isaac, Genesis 26, Isaac was told by God to abide in the land, right? God told him, stay in this land, you will succeed, and all of those things. And the next thing that happened was that he was faced with opposition. The Philistines came and he dug the well, and then they took it over, and then he dug again, and they took it over, he dug again. Now, many of us easily we just say, you know what, God is not involved in it. God is not involved in it. We somehow acquire this idea. We somehow got this idea from wherever that if God is involved in something, automatically everything will just be smooth sailing. You won't need to struggle. Everything will be perfect. That if you face opposition, it is an indication that God is not here. No, that's not true. Even Paul said a great door has been opened to him, but there are many adversaries. So the fact that you fail, the fact that you experience setback, does not mean God is not involved in what you are doing. No, it does not mean God is not involved. So when we quit, when we give up easily, we lose out without even realizing it. We lose out on many possibilities, on many things that God would have accomplished in us and through us just because we quit easily. And this is something that I personally have always endeavored to do. I don't give up easily. I don't quit on things easily. In fact, the other day, some people brought one gift like a game for our son. It was just about arranging something, and I just sat with it. I said, "Oh, let me arrange it for you. This is too complex for you." And then it was time to eat or something, and then our visitors were like, "Oh, let's just abandon it and go." And my wife just told her that you don't know, he will not leave it until he's able to accomplish, until he solves it, until he sets it up. He will not leave it. That is how we should approach our assignment in life. That is how we should approach whatever it is that we are called to do. We should not say it wasn't meant to be, or whatever will be will be. All these ideas that we have. No. If we actually desire it, if we actually know this is God's part for our lives, then we should give our best shot to it. Our approach should be, it's either I succeed or I succeed. I succeed or I succeed. There is no other way. There is no I succeed or I quit or I change or I give up. No, we just stick to it no matter what it is. Now, I've read stories of many great businesses, great organizations, great individuals, highly successful corporations, churches, ministries, and one common denominator for all of them before they became successful is that they refused to quit. A common denominator for highly successful people is that they refused to quit. As simple as that. Norman Vincent Peale, the man that wrote The Power of Positive Thinking, a very powerful book. Now, the book sold millions even before the man died, and is still selling till now. In fact, if you've not read it, you need to read it. The Power of Positive Thinking. Now, the book, when the book was to be published, they took it to several publishers, and they rejected them. Until eventually the man took the book in desperation and frustration, just dump it in the bin. And then the wife was like, let's just try this one last publisher and see what happens. And he told the wife that, don't pick the book from that bin because I'm just tired, I'm frustrated. And the wife said, okay, I won't pick the book from the bin. I will take the book with the bin. So she took the book in the bin, the manuscripts rather, in the bin. And then that was the publisher that published the book. And then everything just exploded. What if the book was just abandoned like that? What if the manuscript was just abandoned and thrown away like that? So many people have given up on great dreams, great project because of temporary setbacks. No matter the situation, no matter the setback, our approach should be, I either succeed or I succeed. We should be willing to give our best. Many of us have heard of stories of people like Abraham Lincoln before. That you fail in something does not mean you are not supposed to have it to start with. No, it's not important. Even great businesses that were just so close to declaring bankruptcy, and then everything changed. And this is why it is very important to ensure that we are doing the right thing, that we are on track with God, that what we are actually doing is what God has called us, He has commissioned us to do. Why? Because that will naturally generate this inner drive that will help us to be able to withstand rejections, that will help us to be able to withstand adversities and tough times, because these tough times will come. And if we are not doing anything, if we are not doing what we are personally convinced about, that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, easily we'll quit. Easily we'll just say, I can't be bothered with this one. Let me just go to the next thing that has money in it and all of those things. So I say, what is driving you is very important. That what is driving you is greater than what is against you. Yeah, and this is what I've discovered. What I often say, that if what is driving you is greater than what is against you, you will succeed in life. If what is driving you is greater than what is against you, you will succeed in life. If your motivation is greater than the opposition, you will still end well in life. If your motivation, what is driving you, is greater than the forces that are against you, you will still end well in life. So the fact that a person failed, the fact that they experienced temporary setback, does not mean God is against them, does not mean they even miss God. In fact, some challenges come just because a person is even on the right path. They are doing what they are supposed to be doing, right? But the thing with adversity is adversities come to test the genuineness of our vision. Adversities come to test the genuineness of our vision and whether our resolve to succeed is genuine or not. Now, most women that will listen to this, you probably have heard or have used Mary Kay products before, Mary Kay Ash Cosmetics and all of these things. Now, when she was to start the business, the woman herself, when she was to start the business, even her own accountant advised her against it. Why? Because she was to put all her life savings into the business. But she, of course, she was so passionate about what she wanted to do, and she took all the money she had to start the business. And what happened was that very close to the time the business was to launch, maybe a few weeks or a few days, the husband slumped and died in the kitchen. The husband slumped and died. Now, the woman did not give up. She didn't say, you know what, now I'm a widow, I'm grieving, or I used to have my husband supporting me, now I don't have anybody to support me. She forged ahead. She went ahead and started the business. She didn't wait. She didn't say, oh, this has happened, maybe something somewhere, God somewhere is trying to send a signal. No. The adversity happened, but she persisted, she persevered, she went ahead, and of course, Mary Kay product is all over the world today just because somebody dared adversity, somebody persisted in the face of adversity. So there is a way, a genuine vision, a genuine understanding of God's purpose for our life will naturally fuel our energy. It will naturally fuel our drive to go on. So that is number one booster of persistence. You have a genuine vision. You have a genuine understanding of God's purpose for your life, that this is what you're supposed to be doing. When that is there, it naturally generates inner energy, inner drive. Now, very closely related to that is genuine faith. And that's actually why we talk about our relationship with God. That genuine faith in God energizes us. If God has put something in our heart, now regardless of whether people have done it before or not, regardless of how many people are doing it, whether somebody in your lineage has done it before, somebody you know has done it before or not, now even when you are faced with opposition, when you keep going back to God in the place of prayer, in the place of fellowship, it will keep inspiring you, giving you new ideas, new things to try out, inspirations to follow. It will just keep energizing you. That's why we quoted from that Psalm 36 now, for with you is the fountain of life. That is, we keep drawing from you. We keep drawing from you. So I always say to people that no matter how terrible I feel going to bed about any matter, or no matter anything negative that has happened in the day, just give me some time to wake up very early in the morning to pray, to fellowship with God. When I do that consistently, in little or no time, I'll have a solution. I will just know what next to do. Right? So when we have genuine faith in God, we keep going back to Him to draw strength from Him. He can give you a scripture that you keep declaring even when you are fainting. He can just inspire something in your heart. But genuine faith in God as a way of fueling our energy, as a way of boosting our persistence and our perseverance. So that is very, very important. And 3 is to keep our eyes on the prize. 3 things that can help our persistence, our perseverance. We say genuine understanding of God's purpose, of our vision in life, genuine faith in God, and keeping our eyes on the prize, the end product, the realization of that goal, the realization of that desire. We quoted Hebrews 12:2 before, that Jesus said for the joy that was set before Him, for what He could see. So He could see it. There was a way that kept Him going, that made Him to endure the inconveniences. The story is told of the Portuguese national team, their captain, Pepe at Euro 2016, that when after they scored and then they could see the trophy, that, oh, we are so close to this, that the footballer Pepe was actually vomiting blood at the final whistle. When the final whistle was blown, the guy was coughing blood, was vomiting blood, because he had given himself. He had expended all his energy. He could see that, oh, we are so close to this. We should not give up now. We should not give up to this. We are so close. So this is how we should attempt what God has called us to do. This is how we should be with regards to our purposes and our assignment in life. That you just stick it out. You burn all bridges, so to speak. You are not saying, oh, if it doesn't work, I'll just do it, and then whatever happens, that's all. No, you stick at it. You stick at it, and you stick to it. Somebody was to start importation business, and he applied for his license. The first time it was denied. The second time it was denied. The third time it was denied. He kept at it until he was eventually given the license, I think at the 13th time. 13th time. So he didn't say, oh, God, I thought you called me to do this, or this and that. No, he just kept at it. He did not quit. He did not quit. Now, I also read about driving tests in the UK. I read about somebody that passed at the 33rd attempt. He tried driving, learning how to drive, and writing sitting the exam prior, the practical exam, and he failed 32 times. It was the 33rd time that the person actually passed. Now just imagine that. How many of us would just stick to it like that? How many of us would just insist that no matter what, I must pass? But the person said, you know what, it doesn't matter how long it takes me, I will still ensure that I pass. And as we wrap up this evening of recent, I think March this year, Pastor E. Adeboye, the GO, celebrated his 80th birthday, and so many messages from different parts of the world. People said all sorts of amazing things about him and all of that. But for me, what stood out was what the wife said about him, GO, when she was interviewed. And then obviously, ordinarily speaking, nobody should know the husband more than the wife. And then she said, you know what, that's one thing that she would say about him is that he never gives up. That if he sets his mind to do anything, if he sets his heart to do anything, that he will stick to it until he achieves the desired result. So she said that she actually calls him a stubborn achiever. A stubborn achiever, somebody that will just not quit, somebody that will just stick to it, that will just insist that this thing that God has shown me must come to pass, or this desired result that we are after, we must do all it takes to ensure that we get the desired result. That she calls him a stubborn achiever. Now think about that for a minute. Now many of us will easily think about him as somebody that is very spiritual, somebody that hears from God and all of those things. Now think about incorporating this particular trait into your own life. That when you are supposed to do something, except you know it's not the right path for you, or except God is telling your heart, or you have a check in your heart that maybe you are not supposed to be doing it, and that's something else. We'll talk about that when we talk about handling repeated disappointment and all of those things. But it is important that when you know this is the path that you're supposed to follow, you stick it out, you stay there until you make a success of it. Whatever it is, we don't quit, we don't give up, we just stay to it, because God is with us. And you know, if God is with us, definitely there is nothing, no opposition, no barrier that can be greater than God. So that means every opposition, every barrier is actually surmountable, and that is how we make the most of our lives. That is how we experience true success in life. Now this will be a convenient point to draw the curtain. So what have we talked about this evening? We have said that true success in life is beyond possession, accumulation, all of the things we started talking about since part 1 of this series. And in this last leg of this series, we said faithfulness is also about maintaining focus, keeping track, not being distracted by supposedly good things. Some things are not wrong. It's just that they will not help us to achieve God's purposes for our life, or God's assignment for us per time. And we say next to that, or closely related to that, is perseverance. Just hanging in there, not quitting, not giving up, even in the face of opposition or temporary setback. Now think about what we have said, pray over it, listen to it again, share it with people that will be inspired, that will be blessed, that will be transformed by it, and of course they get better results, and the name of the Lord is glorified. Now in terms of our next meeting, June 17, 2022, that will be the third Friday in June 17, 2022. Same time, I'll be talking about overcoming failures or repeated disappointment. Just something along something I hinted earlier on, overcoming failures and repeated disappointment. But if you have questions, or you have any queries about anything that we've talked about, other issues, or someone have questions about their walk with God, including getting it right with God and all these other questions, related questions, please send me a message, drop a message to the email address in the description box, or just drop a message and I will be in touch by the grace of God. Thank you so much for tuning in, for joining, or for watching this whenever you watch it, and see you next time. Bye bye. God bless you.